Is it incredibly lame that I find the Trader Joe's knockoff Takis to be incredibly spicy? Yes. Is it unfortunately the truth of my situation? Yes. Anyway, hello everyone and welcome to whatever this video is going to become. My name is Zarina and today we're going to be going over the first half of my books for the month of March. Yay! The thing I'm holding in my hands is in fact the new March sign. Isn't it so cute? I'm so happy with this one, so I'm gonna put it on and then I'll be right back. Is it centered? Absolutely not. Or in frame? I guess it's in frame. I read in total 11 books for the month of March. I'm gonna do the first 6 in this video and then I'm gonna do the next 5 in a different video. Cool. If you're around, you know how this goes. I haven't posted in a while, mainly because one, I've been busy with work. It's so unfortunate how work just gets in the problem. How work just gets in the way of everything I want to do. However, last month was I had a week off, which was fun and great, except everything, now that I work, everything that I had to do had to happen in that week. And I was in Long Beach for like 2 days, and then I was not home. Also, I got a sewing machine, so I finally was able to set up that sewing machine and finish Cynthia's Christmas gift. Yeah, so I've been busy. I literally, that week, I also was sick, and literally everyone around me was sick. My cousins were sick, my grandma was sick, my sister was sick, my parents weren't here to get sick, but they got sick afterwards. And then everyone that I've interacted with at work so far was like, yeah, we were also sick. And I was like, fantastic, stay away from me, I don't want to get sick again. But yeah, I was down for the count, and I was busy, so oops. March was a very interesting month with like reading. I feel like sometimes I'll just get like months that are like all bad ratings and then months that are all good ratings, and March kind of goes like this with the ratings on books. So yeah, here we go. The first book that I read for the month of March was I Hope This Doesn't Find You by Liang. This book was a 5-star for me. It was so cute and so good, and I was not expecting that. I originally borrowed it from the library and I ended up purchasing it because I liked it so much. The book follows Sadie Wen, who she's like a straight A student at this private school, and like she's on track to be like valedictorian. She's like school, what's it called? I think class president or whatever the hell that's called. I haven't been in high school in a long time. Let's just die, why don't we? She's class president, all the things, and basically there's only one person in the entire school who's like nearly academically on par with her, and his name is Julius. And basically she hates Julius. There's a fly, sorry. She hates Julius. And so one of my biggest problems with like academic rivals, or like kind of like rivals to lovers kind of books, especially like standalones like this, I never feel like it starts in the hate category. It kind of starts in like the very like mildly neutral, like the person is just slightly annoying and like then they become lovers. She hates him. Like fully, no stop, just hates him, because like I hated him too in the first like couple chapters, like for the first like half of the book. I also hated him. I was like, I don't want to be putting up with this either. I would hate him too. And basically she accidentally makes a mistake. So one of the things she does is she writes hate emails to people and she doesn't send them. She leaves them in her drafts. And like one day all of her hate emails go out to everyone in the school. And of course Julius has the most amount of hate emails directed towards him, so he gets all of those emails, and the rest of the book kind of just deals with the aftermath of that. And like, oh my god, it was so good. I read it so quickly. I was not expecting that, and it was just such a fun, goofy time, and like they're really cute. And again, I was not expecting it. It is YA, which I tend to stay away from YA romances because I feel like most of the time, at least, like one of the main characters is gonna be dumb, and which makes sense for a YA book, right? Because like teenagers' emotions not really a thing, but like this book deals with that, but like not in a way where it's like why. So yeah, it was absolutely adorable, and I'm so happy to have a copy. I'm 100% gonna reread this at some point. So into March. Also, on the topic of March, because it is now April, so I guess on the topic of April, why? Where is time? Also, what is my hair happening? What is going on today? You know what is going on all the time? I can never speak in any of these videos. If you've been here, you know that. If you know me in real life, in person, what am I trying to say? If you know me in real life, it's not any better. So, oh my god. Keeping on the very high hill that I hope this doesn't find you set. We have The Raven King by Maggie. Her last name, still can't pronounce it. This is the conclusion to the Raven Cycle series. If I was allowed to scream out loud very loudly and very much in pain, I would right now, because this book left me completely unwell and not able to deal with the uncertainty of life, and I'll never be okay again. That's just the basic gist of this book, because yeah, I don't think I will ever exist the same. Ever. Like, I think something about this series, but mainly like this fourth book, has changed me on such like an atomic level, and I don't even know how to describe what it is. It's just like all of a sudden all the cells in my body are alive, and I don't think they'll ever not do that. If you've never heard about the Raven Cycle series, basically this is book 4, but in the first book we meet Blue, who is our kind of main protagonist, and she lives in a house full of psychics, but her entire family is compromised of psychics, and only like the female psychics live in this house. Like, the guys just aren't there. And with Blue, she's the only person in her family who doesn't have psychic power, but she does know from the people around her that if she were to ever kiss her true love, that he's gonna die. And one day while she's working, she meets some of the guys from the prep school that she nicknames the Raven Boys, and from there she kind of gets sucked into their crazy adventure to try to find this like lost, long dead king. The only way to describe this series, the word choice, perfection. Like, this book just feels like one of those books where, like, you know, every, like, as much care and thought as humanly possible was put into every word and every line. And like, there's just some lines that physically hit you so hard, you're like, my heart has been physically knocked out and hit the wall behind me. Like, I sobbed my eyes out. And like, what's horrible about this series is it kind of functions a little bit like a tragedy, because like, they tell you in book 1 what's gonna happen. Like, Blue's true love, if she kisses him, will die. And like, you also find out like very early in the first book that something bad is going to happen to one of the Raven Boys, and like, you know it's gonna happen. So like, the entire series, you're kind of just bracing yourself for this fact, and like, and then, oh my god, one of my favorite ship is the ships in this book. The tension is insane. 2, 3, 4. There's 4 guys and there's 1 girl, and like, in a way, somehow, in the entire like series, there's romantic tension between like every single character has slight romantic tension with like everyone else, and it is like, I can't function. If I could reread these books for the first time again, I will. I'm literally gonna start crying right now. They're so good. Please read these. I need someone to talk about them. Also, but unfortunately, I would go online and look up like stuff about them, except for sorry, it's driving me crazy. Why is my part like that? I would go online and like look up stuff, but apparently there's like a spin-off series now, and I don't want any spoilers, because like, if I would have had a spoiler for this book series, I think I would have like thrown myself out of a moving car, and that is not even like what's it called, hypermobilization? Nope, a hyperbole, I think is the word I'm looking for. And I can't. Plus, I don't know how I knew this series would be so important to me, but I somehow ended up with my only copies of these are like special edition copies, and like, there's like art inside of the dust jacket, and I think these are reversible. I just don't want to risk like folding them the other direction, and like, look at that. Oh my gosh. And then unfortunately, I think the art in this one specifically is in fact spoilers, so I will not be showing that. These are the Fairy Loot edition ones. I have a friend who has the subscription, and she wasn't interested in these, so she was like, hey bestie, do you want them? And I was like, a series I've never read before? Yeah, absolutely. Just because, I don't know, I had a feeling, and I trust my gut feelings, and this gut feeling was absolutely correct. I like the series enough, and I don't have enough room on my bookshelves, so underneath, so you can kind of see my K-pop stuff has taken over. There's K-pop, that shelf, this shelf, and that shelf. There's one more shelf at the bottom that houses, that's a word that makes sense, that holds my Rick Rodenverse collection. I don't have anything after Trials of Apollo. I just can't. I can't read the new stuff because if it doesn't meet my expectations for the other, like the original series, I don't think I will be mentally okay. And I'm just not ready to deal with that yet. But because of that, I do think I didn't really love Trials of Apollo. So I'm thinking of moving it so I can fit these on the shelf, and I'll move Trials of Apollo. So I have shelves and then I have stacks. So I will go move the Trials of Apollo to the stacks, and I'll put the Raven Cycle series down there. I need these books inscribed in my soul, on my body, and because of that, 5 stars. Yes. The next book that I read was The Husky and His White Cat, Shizun. Honestly, I don't know how I ended up with this book. Oh, I do. I was at a used bookstore in Arizona. It's called Changing Hands. I love Changing Hands. But for graduating, if you went to this like English department event at my school, they were giving out gift cards, and like not a lot of people went, so I ended up with like 4 gift cards that came out to be like $100, and I didn't know they had online stuff. Now I'm aware they have online stuff, but I wasn't then, so I was like, damn, I really got to burn these gift cards before I move not into Arizona. Where am I? What? Before I move back to California. So I had seen these all over, like I'd seen a lot of these, and I was like, what the hell are they? So they had volume 1 and volume 2, and I ended up buying both of them because they were literally like $5. So I was like, no harm, no foul. And except they're a little crazy. They are, in fact, I did not realize they're rated for mature readers. And whoa, these are a little wild. I ended up rating them 4 stars. Like, they were incredibly entertaining to read. It's just one of those where you're like, they read a little bit more like a really crazy webtoon story rather than like a light novel, if that makes sense. Yeah, this I would 100% recommend for mature readers, but just know it's a little wild. So this is definitely one of those series where I kind of wish I would have read the back of the book, but it's got me hooked. I do want to read the next one. I just don't know how to feel about it. Yeah, okay. next one. So if you've noticed, we've began to go downhill. I closed it. Why did I do that? That was not smart. There we go. We began to go downhill. The next book is my lowest rated one for the entire month, and that's The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This was definitely did not reach the expectations that I wanted, and some of it may be my fault. I ended up rating it a 3 stars, and I'll tell you why. So The Fine Print basically follows, I think her name is Zara. So follows an employee, Zara. She works at a magical theme park, which I'm not saying is Disneyland, but sounds a lot like Disneyland, or like the Orlando version of it. So technically Disney World, I guess, but like they call it Dreamland. And she works there, and she's just an employee. And one day, like the big boss, he dies, and so his grandsons go to take over. And his grandsons are annoying, terrible businessmen. And basically, she ends up turning in this like prompt. She's always wanted to be, I forgot what they're called in here, but basically they're the equivalent of the Disney Imagineers, which if you didn't grow up around Disneyland and stuff, basically Disneyland has a team of engineers that design the ride that are called Imagineers, and basically they put together like these amazing like themed rides, and they're the ones that you are basically in charge of creating the magic, I guess, where like they have rules where like everything within like a guest's touching range has to feel realistic, and it's basically their job. They design Disneyland. It's one of like the dream jobs of people who work in Disney. I know as a kid it was a dream job of mine. I was obsessed with, I grew up near Disneyland and went a lot when the prices weren't an arm and a leg. And Disneyland has always kind of been one of my favorite places because of the attention to detail. Did not realize it until I was really an adult, but I'm such a stickler for detail. I love when things are just finished absolutely wonderfully, and Disneyland has always kind of brought that, because I am from SoCal, so like we have Knott's Berry Farm, we have Six Flags, we have Legoland, like there's just so many different theme parks around here, and because of the finish of Disneyland, there's always something special for it for me. Like, I also grew up with Disney movies, so it's just kind of like ingrained in my childhood. But because of that, I think I was a bit more of a stickler with this book, because I was obsessed. If you've read the Kingdom Keepers books, I read all of those. I have multiple books on the arts and like the history of certain rides, and I still have them. They're just in my oversized books across my room because they don't fit on these guys. They don't fit on these shelves. So I'm a big so you would think this book would appeal to me, right? Because like it's following that world, and like she's basically like pitching a ride, and like that's how she ends up getting closer to the guy. It is a romance. I think I should have said that already, but I didn't. And I really don't like work romance books where like HR should have totally gotten involved. Like, I think more of this made me feel uncomfortable than it made me feel happy. And then also, like, their relationship did not make sense. Like, I don't feel like their romance grew properly, and I don't know, I don't really like it. It also felt like they actually abandoned the main subplot multiple times in the book. And I understand, like, yes, romance books primary plotline is romance. However, I don't know, if you introduce a B plot and you introduce these subplots, like, you really should make sure that we don't forget about them for longer than a couple chapters, because, like, I don't know, I found myself more interested in the B plot than I did in the romance, which was really frustrating. I also felt the writing was really, really cringy. So I was doing decent. I was willing to overlook many, many things. I was giving it about a 4-star until page 247 in the copy that I have, because I did, in fact, at some point read the lines, tongues battling, whoa, what was that accent? I did read the words, tongues battling for dominance, in a published book, and I was like, I thought we left that on Wattpad in like 2012, maybe 16, maybe 18. I was not expecting that to be in a published book, and it really took me out so hard. I could not enjoy the rest of the book for like literally the rest of the book. See, I felt like this book felt like the process of reading it felt exactly how I speak, which is not great. Like, do you know how much I edit these videos so my sentences sound comprehensible? And yeah, unfortunately this book was not good. I do think I'll be getting rid of it. I am interested to see, like, if it's just this one or if the whole series is like this, but I'm gonna borrow them from the library. I don't think they're worth owning, so. Because when I have a like, mediocre book that I read and need something as a pick-me-up, I read a volume of manga, and I read volume 3 of A Sign of Affection. They're finally growing on me, guys. I rated it a 4-star. It was pretty good. If you've never heard of A Sign of Affection, basically the main girl, her name's Yuki. She's deaf and uses Japanese sign language to communicate, and I never remember his name. Itsuomi. So Itsuomi is a fellow college student, and basically it's a romance, so they meet and they fall in love. Great description, fantastic. So volumes 1 and 2, I had a really hard time with their relationship. It felt like the guy was more interested. It felt like Itsuomi was more interested in her because she was different, which is not bad necessarily, right? Just because she has a disability, like, noticing that isn't bad. But the way it was done kind of felt strange. Like, it didn't sit right with me, and I don't know, I just wasn't really into their relationship. However, in books 3 and I have read volume 4 by now, it makes a lot more, not sense, but like they've grown closer, and the guy has changed a bit to, whoa, what is happening with my voice? The guy has changed, and it doesn't feel so icky in my stomach anymore. And it never felt like super icky, like, don't read this kind of thing. Like, it just sat wrong personally with me. I know tons of people who love these. I know, like, it's a pretty well-loved anime and manga in the world abroad. But for me, I don't know, it just was sitting weird. But yeah, I did like this one. I was giggling and kicking up my feet and kicking my feet a little bit while reading this one. And yeah, I unfortunately am kind of rooting for the second lead, which I have really bad second leads. Is it called second lead syndrome when you root for the second lead? That sounds right. I always root for the second lead, and I always turn out to be wrong. Before I was like firmly in the camp, like, let the second lead win, versus now I'm a little bit more like teeter-tottering, but I'm still leaning more towards the guy who's the second lead. Yeah, and I wouldn't say like the love triangle is that prominent. I think I'm making it a bigger thing in my head because I want the guy who I believe is to be the second lead to win. And yeah. Anyway, moving on. The last book that we have in this video is Sea Spell by Jennifer Donnelly. This is book 4 in the Waterfire saga, which is basically about a mermaid named Serafina who is about to become the ruler of her, like, ocean nation. But before she can, there's a coup that, like, throws her out. And she's also being summoned by this magical witch about a prophecy that causes them to bring... a prophecy that brings together 6 mermaids, one from each ocean country around I don't know if they're actually called countries, but like territories, I guess, ocean territories around to help defeat this beast thing that was created when Atlantis fell. So last video, I was like, I don't know, I said 6 out loud. And then I went back while I was editing and I'm like, no, it's gotta be 7 because there's 7 different oceans. I was right the first time. For some reason, the way they're split up in this book is 6. And I was like, that? Okay, cool. So this was the conclusion of the series, and honestly, it kind of let me down. I ended up rating it 3.75 stars. It just was it wasn't quite like good. It was still kind of like in the mid, and it's really unfortunate because this series kind of plateaued. Like, book 1 is like okay, and then book 2 is like pretty good, and then book 3 is kind of on the same level as book 2, and then unfortunately it goes down for book 4 because, no, I'm not gonna lie, the same thing happened in book 4 as book 1, where like there's just too many things happen. Like there's just too many plot points trying to happen in this book. There's something that happens towards the end I honestly think should have been in like completely entirely different book. Like it should have ended about 100 pages before, and you could have expanded like literally the last 100 pages into a whole nother book, and it would have been fine because it was ridiculous. Like the pacing on all of these books has been really weird and really like not interesting in a good way, but like interesting with a question mark next to it. Book 2 and book 3 were the most solid with their pacing, but like they're not good in that sense. But what's really frustrating is the lore is really good and the character development is really good. But the two things, but pacing was off like everywhere the entire time, and it was so frustrating because I kept finding myself getting really bored, and then I was really interested, and then suddenly there's too many things happening, and then I'm confused, but then I become bored again. Like the pacing was odd, and then I love romance, but I almost cussed. I hate insta-love. Like it is oh my god, it drives me crazy, and the amount of insta-love in this book was incredibly frustrating, and I think a lot of it was cut out. Like a lot of those scenes that would have made it not feel insta-lovey was cut out because of like the pacing. Like I could tell like in my brain, like I don't know what the author was thinking, but if for some reason like I was looking at this book before it came out, there are points of time that probably should have stayed in the book and like could have achieved like setting some of those romances up a little bit better and like moving the plot forward without having to do that. The cast of characters was also just too big for this. These books are about 300-400 pages each, and there's 6 mermaids we're following primarily, and I don't know, I think book 1 should have been 2 books, and I think this one should have been 2 books, leading to 6 books. So if you wanted to do like a book that follows primarily like one mermaid each time, that would have been really cool. Or like even if you're following 2 mermaids every book, there needed to be more books, more pages to tell this story, and unfortunately like there was not. Or maybe there wasn't, and like some of those things that took multiple chapters to explain could have been shortened, and like some of the more interesting plot points, like I don't know, a battle could have been more than just a couple pages, because that was honestly really hard to read. I do really like the series. I do feel like it would be like a really fantastic animated TV show, but like not younger viewers, like TV 14, like anime level, like base anime level viewers. This would make a great TV show, and I honestly think it would be really fun to watch. So if you watched this long, thank you for watching. You've reached the end of the video. If you liked, leave a like, and I would love it if you subscribe. We're really close to 50 subscribers, so it'd mean a lot if you could subscribe. Yes. Yeah, and leave me a comment. How was your March? Because I know a lot of people have spring break in March. So did you have spring break? Did you do anything fun? Anyway, that's it. Okay. Bye! Month was a very different March.